Yeah, well, certainly it was. It wasn't the 80-minute performance we were after, but it was a lot. It was heading in the right direction. We got to ask a few questions of a few players, and we got some answers. So that's really what we wanted to get out of the game, as well as a result. Clearly, we're happy with the 38 points. Probably weren't happy with conceding 19, but yeah, too many penalties at once in that second quarter of the game, leading into half time, which allowed them back into the game. And obviously going down to 14 men certainly wasn't in the script, but I thought once we got our composure back and got to 15 that we finished the game quite strongly. And, you know, from a defensive point of view, from that point on, we were very hungry and we turned a couple of balls over, which is sort of where we want to be going forward.
You owed a bit to two of the old heads in the back row there?
I thought Toby Faletau was outstanding today. We shifted him from playing in the 15-metre channel into the middle of the park, and where he can get his hands on the ball a little bit more and use his footwork, and he did that exceptionally well, making line breaks and you know, obviously setting a try up as well. So he had a strong game. And Justin Tipuric, back from his head knock, thought went well as along with Toby.
You lost a couple of key figures to injury, Liam Williams and Alan Wynne-Jones. What's the news on their injuries, please?
Yeah, high ankle sprain for Sanjay, and Alan Wynne was a knee, medial ligament. So we'll get both of those scanned and we'll know more next week.
Looking back on the series, how much further do you think you've progressed? How much more do you know about your resources than when you started?
Yeah, well, I think we're just going through the numbers earlier. I think 11 debutants have played since the start of the Six Nations. That's a huge number. We've learned a lot about those players. They've learned a lot. Just talking in the changing room with young Yohan a few minutes ago, you know, he learned a hell of a lot from that game compared with the Georgia game. So he was on the field for a lot longer, and you know, those things you can't buy. You know, you've got to get out there and play in these games and learn from them. So he'll be better for that, and as will others that have had the opportunity.
Would you maybe have wanted to have the pecking order nailed down in more positions than you have at the moment?
Well, I think behind the scenes we have it quite well nailed down. And today was, you know, the likes of Nicky Smith having a go. I thought he played well. I think he took his opportunity well. Sam Parry. So I think we're building some depth quite nicely. What we've got to do now is settle on the squad for the Six Nations and get some combinations and look to be more consistent in what we do with the selection and with the performances, which should come as a result of a more settled selection. But obviously, you know, we've decided to go this way once the you know, the World Cup rankings went on this particular competition. So in terms of the autumn series, we've done what we've done with the squad.
Wayne, you talked about learning about certain players today. In the first half, Callum Sheedy made a few errors and perhaps looked a little bit frantic. Second half, he seemed to settle a little bit more. Were you pleased with the way that he bounced back?
Yeah, I was very pleased. I was pleased. You could say that about the team, really, because first 20 minutes, I think it came quite comfortably for them. At 14-0, I think the feeling in the change room was that, you know, just mentally relaxed a little bit and felt that it was going to be a bit of a romp. So, you know, we had to redress things at half time and we were down to 14. So it was a matter of getting through that 7.5 minutes after half time and then making sure that we really, you know, rolled our sleeves up and got into our work. And I think the speed of the breakdown was a lot better in that sort of last half hour. And we looked a little bit more like what we'd want to see going forward.
Do you think it's fair to say that a few moments of individual brilliance, you're looking at Faletau and Tipuric linking up particularly, is what made the difference for you today?
I think it's a little bit more than that. I think, you know, we had a bit more ball. We built a few more phases in this game. Obviously, it was a step in the right direction, but certainly those two players that you mentioned played very well. And we need our British Lions to stand up and play like that. So, you know, last week we had 5 of them missing, and this week 2 of them were there and played very well.
And just finally from myself, you talked about the debutants since the start of the year. A lot of debutants in this campaign in particular. Given the way that you've selected your teams, should we maybe have expected the sort of performances a little bit more? Because when you're changing combinations so regularly, difficult to play well consistently, isn't it?
It is, and but what we're looking at is the work they're doing behind the scenes as well at training, and we're running certain combinations, and we're learning a lot there as well. And it is difficult when you're making the changes, but that was sort of what we were prepared to sacrifice. Was probably the odd performance that wasn't as probably what the public would like, or that we would like ultimately. And we're hoping that we'd be a little bit more consistent. But I've got to take that on the chin and say that, look, with the learnings that we've had, it's affected some of the performances. But come the Six Nations, we'll be putting together what we think is a squad that can go out and win the games that are put in front of us. And we'll certainly be trying to do that. And we'll be going with a lot of combinations and a lot of consistent selection.
Evening, Wayne. At 14-0 up, as you say, you thought you were in control. I just wondered what you made of it, the way Italy came back at you to actually end up going into the lead.
Yeah, well, obviously going into half-time, there was only a point in it, and they got right back into the game. So I think it was multiple errors on our part that got them back into the game. I think the line-out malfunctioned through to half-time, and there were a number of penalties at the breakdown, and that continued the early part of the second half. But once we tidied that up, I think we were a lot more consistent, and we finished the game strongly. But certainly we did let them into the game, and we've got to look at that and review that. And as a player said at half-time, it was probably a mental slip, taking it too lightly.
But in the end, the fact that you have won this game, do you think that will actually benefit some of your younger players, that they've come through a game like this where they've had a bit of a scare?
Oh, definitely. Look, if you looked at the result we had in the Six Nations against Italy, I think we scored 42 points. I think we scored 38 tonight. Obviously, we let a few in at the other end, but with the side we had in the limited training time that particular group had, look, I think there were more positives than negatives, and so we'll take that away now, and we'll go and look at the squad for the Six Nations and factor in all the learnings that we've got from this, and the fact that a lot of players have got opportunities. I think now we'll sit down and do a ranking by position, and hopefully we'll be in a better place than we were in terms of our depth and rankings than we were a couple of months ago.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Wayne, it's Alex here. How did you think George North went? What was your analysis of him?
Yeah, look, I think it was a positive. He did more good than things that he wouldn't be that happy with. So I think all in all, it was a worthwhile selection. And I think going forward that George, working hard at his game, should be able to offer us more than just being a winger at this level of the game. I think he'll be a winger that can play at centre going forward.
How much improvement do you think you need to make to compete for the Six Nations, which will come around very quickly? And are you confident the squad has that improvement in them?
Well, I think if we go pre-COVID, pre-lockdown year, you would say that we're not too far off with the French game at home and the game with England. I think obviously we selected a different type of squad for this this particular autumn series, which we sort of thrashed and discussed quite a bit. But look, I think combining the two squads and our learnings, we'd like to think that we'll have a good crack at it, like no doubt England and France, and others will be thinking Ireland.
Thank you.
Hi Wayne, I'll try and sneak in too if that's all right. When Italy went 18-17 ahead, were you worried and tearing your hair out?
No, but at 19-17 I was. Just out by a point. 19-17, yeah, we were obviously a little bit concerned, but we were 14 men down at that time. We felt that if we could just get some ball and get some multiple phases going, that we would hurt them, and I think that's how it turned out in the end.
Just on Toby Faletau as well, it seems for about 18 months or so he's kind of struggled a bit coming back from his injuries, but tonight it looked like he found that form that made him such a good player in years gone by. Do you feel like you've got him back now after a few months of trying to find his way a little bit?
Yeah, and not only Toby, but the majority of the squad, when we did the fitness testing in week one, when they came in post-lockdown, we're well behind the eight ball. So they didn't come out of club rugby too well, to be honest. So we just talked about that now, and the messaging going back will be that hopefully that the boys will be doing the necessary work so they come in for the Six Nations, those that are selected, where we've finished off now in terms of our fitness levels. So you saw we finished that game very strongly, but we certainly weren't able to do that at the start of the competition. So Toby is one of many guys that's benefited from the work he's done over the last 8 weeks, and you know, you got to say that he's back to near his best. So that's pleasing for us going forward.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure it was 38-18, by the way, but maybe I'm wrong.
Sorry, 38-19. Let's have the discussion.
I'm sure it's 18, but maybe I've got that wrong. Anyway, don't worry about it.
Can anyone else help that?
Thank you, everybody.